Hey guys, welcome back. I figured it's finally time to do this Fender Eliminator, but before we get started, I want you to make sure that you know that this Fender Eliminator is for an R6. TST Industries sells the R6 Fender Eliminator, and that's the one we're going to install today. It is the base one. It is the least expensive version of it, but I also added the license plate light. So the integrated turn signals, those aren't sold from TST Industries. I was able to find a couple different versions on Amazon, and I'll link both of them down below so that you can make the decision on your own which one you want to buy. But keep in mind, all this is for an R6, and it all fits quite well. The Fender Eliminator does not fit perfectly, as you'll see in the video, but towards the end of the video, I realized that it actually fits quite well, and I highly doubt I'm going to be buying another version or the newer version that comes for the R7, but that's a decision you need to make yourself. You can see what it looks like at the end to see if you're okay with it or not. Let's get in the shop and let's get this job done. So this is the kit we just got. It's the Fender Eliminator from TST Industries. It is the basic one with the addition of the license plate light and these integrated turn signals that we're going to put on here today. I'm going to show you guys today how to install it and wire it all together and set this thing up like you would if you're buying it from like TST Industries. Let's get this bad boy installed. So we'll start with pretty much removing everything that we have to. So we're going to get our little push pins out. And we can get that guy out of the way. I'm going to hop under here and pull these guys out as well. We got our 5mm seat bolts under here. And then I'm pretty sure the only way we're getting at these bolts, so if you're looking down in there, what you can see in here is these little nuts, and this is a little metal plate that is a part of the motorcycle frame, and it has these nuts for the bolts to go from the bottom to the top in here. So if you notice, there's no way to get at these without taking these plates off. We're actually going to take all of this rear fairing apart just to get at these 4 bolts that are right here that are going to drop this hole. So next thing we'll do is we'll drop these 4 bolts here. All right, there's 4 fairing bolts right there. In case you missed that, I had it zoomed out a little bit, but we just took out these 4 3mm right here. They all have little washers down in here. All right, now we're gonna get this tail out of the way. So there's another little 3mm back here we'll nab out. Get this 3mm out. Just to give us a little extra room down at the bottom when we open it up. Because we're gonna cheat a little bit. Kind of stretch the bottom, get at the bolts in the back there. We have 2 more of these little pop clips to come off. We'll get these guys. One there, one on the other side. Okay, with all this being loose, there's a chance I could just get those 4 bolts off. So you can see just under here that there are 2 on each side that we could just take off by removing or slightly bending the plastic down so that we don't have to take the whole rear fairing off. 1, there's 2, and then 2 more on the other side. And she's coming out. So we're able to just pop this guy right out of there, no problem. The next piece that we need is the zip tie that's holding it down in there. But we can get to it from the bottom pretty dang easily. So if you bend the little lip down of nasty tail, you can clip the zip tie from the back without potentially cutting the wires as well. So there we go, now our zip tie is off too. So the light kind of just popped right out of the back there, and there's 1 connector on it, the little push tab. We'll just pull it out. Definitely a little hard to see, but you can see all the wiring is routed through here. So everything's under the ECU, but it does seem to pop up fairly easily. So it's got a little rubber protector around it, and under the ECU you can see all the wiring. So I'm trying to see if I can rotate it enough. It's just little rubber grommets holding it in, so might have to pop a couple of these out of the way. Try and take apart as little as possible if I can. We get a little more room there, not much. Maybe enough to spin this guy out of the way. Yep. Should be just enough there. So there we go. We got our ECU out of the way. Now we can see all the wiring in there. Here we go. So this one is the actual brake light. And these three, which it looks like, okay, there's the third connector. A little hard to find, but it's there. So now that we have them out, we already disconnected the one for the light. So we have this guy here. Looks like it just lift and pull kind of, yep, too easy. This one here, big push button. No, it doesn't want to play. There we go. Just needed a little more push than my finger had. One more down here. Black cable right there. So we can do the same kind of thing. Pry under and it'll pop off. And now we should be able to just pull this guy out completely. There we go. Fugly Fender eliminated. So if you can see in here why I'm saying it's not a perfect fit is because this bracket where you would mount the license plate bracket is recessed just a little bit, and then this plastic sits down quite a ways. So when you put your tab in here, depending on whether or not you want to put it in this way or flip it around and put it in this way so that your license plate's a little bit farther to the rear, it does cover the hole a little bit. You can already see right there's a little gap right there. The light itself will cover that little hole. So it isn't a perfect fit. It isn't the perfect solution in my opinion. And we're gonna have to drill out this plate a little bit closer so that the bolts will fit in between this opening in this bracket, because there is no holes inside this bracket. And drilling into this bracket I think is dumb. And the reason why I think that's dumb is because it's a part of the actual frame of the bike, and there's no need to do that when we can drill out this crappy little aluminum bracket really easily. So you guys can see what I'm trying to do is you can see how wide those holes are, and then for this license plate you can actually move it quite a ways. So what we're gonna do is kind of use some of the insides versus the middle, which is what's too large here, right? If you can see the two holes, they're too wide. We're gonna drill from this side and we're gonna line it up. So we're gonna use this little tool here that's gonna ping this aluminum for us to figure out where we want to drill the hole. So you can see that's about dead center on here, and I want my holes, so it's probably hard to tell, but you can see where I'm trying to put these holes at. And the reason why I'm using this tool is because what it's going to do is continue to put little dents inside this aluminum, which is cool because then my drill bit's not going to want to walk all over the place when I start drilling into this guy to make my holes a little bit smaller. All right, for the next one. So now let's see if this fit on our bike all right. Okay, you should be able to see the bracket in there now. And I do have room. I can shift it kind of wherever I want. Okay, I ended up using one of the current holes and not one of the ones I drilled. And you can actually move the license plate bracket a little left and right. So it looks a little bit more centered and it fits in there like perfectly now. We got the second nut on there, so now we just need to tighten these down. All right, so these bolts are a 4mm, 10mm socket. They're a lock nut. That thing ain't going anywhere. Bends down there not quite nicely. So there we go. Now that this is in here, we'll go ahead and put the rest of these bolts in. And you'll notice there were 5, and there's not. Only 4 can go back in now. The one that's up under here actually bolted into the Fugly stock fender. You could put it in there, I guess, if you wanted to, so that you don't lose it, or maybe have an extra one someday. Oh, there we go. Got that plate back on there and ready to go. Now it's time to plug in the lights and install it. Okay, for our next step, we're gonna run the license plate light through here. And I'm just gonna run it through the actual license plate bracket. And that's the reason what it's there for, is that exactly, to run the license plate light through. Not everyone uses the license plate light, but that is how it would route. And the kit actually comes with a bolt that you could put in there if you don't want to run your license plate light, but I do want to run it, so here we go. So we're gonna steal all the hardware from the original license plate and just reuse it. That's double-sided tape that you put on the back of the license plate like that. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Line it up as straight as possible. Looks good enough to me, and that's how she's gonna fit and look. Once the light goes in here, I don't think there's really gonna be a gap. I think it's gonna be okay. I actually don't think that's bad at all. So here's our tail light. We just run our blue and yellow cable through here. We can run the original tail light out and plug it in before we do this. Now something I'm gonna do, I like dielectric grease. This stuff's amazing in my opinion. It will keep stuff from corroding and getting all jacked up, but it's non-conductive. So no matter what you're doing with an electrical connector, it's not gonna mess anything up. But this will keep water out, moisture out, keep things from corroding. I like using it, you don't have to buy it. Okay, so we got the wiring through there. The light actually pops into that and sits in there nicely like that. All right, now the light's in there. There is 2 more of these little pop pins that go from the plastic fairing into the light to hold this together. There we go. Now our light's secured in there. So we got the black one down here. Try it out. And then the yellow one we'll put into the white one. Now let's see what our lights do. There's our rear tail light. There's our left turn signal. And that's our left turn. Sweet. Right turn signal. And that's our right. Cool. Totally plug and play. I'm going to put my dielectric grease in these. So I'm going to take them apart, put a quick little squirt in here, plug that back in, put a little squirt on this one. Once again, guys, this stuff's great just simply to keep stuff from corroding, keep moisture out, just all around good idea. All right, so now what we're going to do real quick is take our old kit. It's only a 2-wire, black and green. We're just going to nip it off. Go ahead and splice these guys. Plug this little guy in here. And with our black to black and red to red there, we should have a license plate light. And we do. Try and strip back some more of this so we have more cable to play with. And then what we're gonna do is try and line these guys up best as we possibly can and drop a little bead of solder on them. And then once you get a nice little bead on top of what you're trying to solder, it's always nice to just hold on the bottom and let it just fall into it. Ugly? Yeah, probably. Just like my welding jobs. Put some dielectric lube on there. It's just time to like cram all these wires back in as clean as possible. When you pulled all this out, probably a pain in the ass like it was for me getting all this wiring out. And now all we have to do is just kind of cram it all back in as best as we possibly can. There we go. I would say that's fairly decent. That's in there about as good as I think I can get it. And now we just got to get the ECU back on. So if you notice, there's 2 little pieces on the ECU here. This little square here and this little square here. All this is just a rubber casing that's wrapped around the ECU. And these are what go inside. They slide over these right here. And there's 1 on each side, 1 low and 1 high. Slide our ECU back in here. You can see the little rubber damage. That one went on just fine. It's definitely tight, but it's not that difficult. And that one went on there pretty good too. So there we go, our ECU is back in play. Now it's just reassembly time. We'll start off with the last 2 little plastic pieces we have here. And then back here, we got to put the tail back together. So the first one was this little 4mm. See this little dimple back here that needs to line up before you put this bolt in. That's what keeps it, kind of helps it stay together a little bit. And then before we put this top piece on, you can see these little flaps here. The actual painted fairing pieces need to go inside of them like that. That lines the rest of it up. Slide this guy in. And as you put this on, you can see this little lip back here. On this light here, there's another little lip. You'll want to put this in the lip here. And make sure the little lip goes inside the light. And then it fits perfectly like that. Put our other 4mm in. And we have these 4mm as well. Remember, they all have washers. I'm gonna shove our toolkit, put our seat on. Okay, cool. All right, job's done. Last and final test. We'll make sure everything works now that everything's back together. Got our rear light, got our brake light, our license plate light's working, left turn signal, right turn signal. Job done. Thanks again for hanging out with me today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. I know that this little bracket probably won't make you super excited about this job or wanting to do it this way. I mean, ultimately, you can't buy this from TST Industries. You're gonna have to buy it online. I'll put a link in the description if you wanna buy this specific one I got. They have 2 different ones on Amazon that I found that were pretty cool. I liked this one a little bit better, so I went with this one. And like I said, the TST thing's debatable. I don't think it looks bad. It's actually pretty cool, but we all know that it's not designed for it and it isn't a perfect fit. I'll see what they do for the actual real one when it comes out and see if I'm really willing to spend the extra amount of money to upgrade it, but I really don't think it's that bad, guys. It looks fine. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.